Alright, the last few properties that we need to review starts off with what's called the reduction property. Now, that sounds a little bit formal. What we normally call it is just simplifying fractions or reducing fractions. So, for example, if we were to have the fraction, say, 6/9, we would look at this and say, well, they have a common common factor of 3 in the numerator and also in the denominator. So if we were to reduce the fraction by 3/3, then we would end up with 2/3. This is an example of the reduction property. So simplifying or reducing fractions is probably the more common way to hear it. All right, the next one is division by 0. Division by 0 is an incredibly important thing to remember. You should always know what division by 0 is. Let me highlight that. Division by 0 is always undefined. So remember, now division by 0 means 0 is in the denominator. So if we were to have something like 5/0, that means 5 divided by 0. So that would be undefined each and every time. We have no idea or any way of describing how many times 0 would go into 5. Now the opposite of that would be division of 0 by a number. So that would be something like saying 0 divided by 5. Well, that's a whole different matter. 5 will not go into 0. It goes in 0 times. So our division of 0 by a number is 0. You have to keep these two things straight. If 0 is on the bottom, it is undefined. If 0 is on the top, your answer is 0. Alright, our next one is absolute value. Now, absolute value of a number literally means the distance from 0. So imagine that you're looking at a number line. And let's have an example here of the absolute value of -5. So imagine that you're looking at a number line here. How many places away from 0 is -5? It would be 5 units away from 0. So the absolute value of -5 is 5. It literally means how far away from 0 is -5. If we were to have the absolute value of 12, that literally means how far away from 0 is 12, and that would be 12 units. Now lastly, our last property here is reciprocals. Now, reciprocals are just the flip of each other. So for example, if I had 2/3, then the reciprocal of that would be 3/2. Now remember, we also talked earlier about reciprocals are actually inverses for the property, for the operation of multiplication. So don't forget that. Now also I wanted to mention, what if you had the number, well, we used 9 a while ago. Let's use 1/3. If we were to have 1/3, the reciprocal for that, we would just flip it over, which would be 3/1. We generally don't write things over 1, so it would just be 3. Now if we started off with a whole number, like say 14, that's technically a 14/1. So if I wanted to write the reciprocal of that, it would be 1/14.